Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I am Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Hey, I'm going to do some quick updates for our brothers and sisters down in Oregon about some huge developments in the lawsuits to stop Oregon Ballot Measure 114. I apologize for not being able to get these videos out sooner. I did learn of this information late Sunday night, but unlike other people out here in the YouTuberverse who apparently have nothing better to do than just make videos, I do try to run a law practice during the day as well. However, last Friday, there were some arguments about the temporary injunction, and there's been some massive developments over the weekend that you need to be aware of because it's going to affect the implementation of some of this law. So today, let's spend a few very important minutes and talk about huge updates from Oregon on Ballot Measure 114. Okay, so the issue we're talking about yet again today is Oregon Ballot Measure 114, which is only a few days out from becoming implemented on December 8th. Now, there was oral arguments on Friday down in Portland, Oregon, various plaintiffs. There was at least 4 different lawsuits perhaps, and there were 3 general attacks made to this. Now, one of the questions that was asked, however, of the Attorney General for the state of Oregon oh, you're going to have this whole licensing thing up and running by, next week, December 8th. And the Attorney General said that, in fact, the state of Oregon would have that system in place, which, of course, was met by roaring laughter from everybody in the courtroom, including the judge. Well, hot off the presses, as it turns out, apparently that Attorney General did not know what he was talking about because, shockingly, the state of Oregon is not going to have this licensing framework anywhere close to being in place in time for the December 8th start date of this law. And so the Attorney General in charge of arguing this case, he is a Senior Assistant Attorney General, Brian Marshall, has written a letter to the court and to all the plaintiffs saying, we do believe that a temporary injunction is appropriate for one portion of 114, and that is this licensing requirement, which, by the way, I happen to think is the most egregious of all the constitutional violations, which this legislation is replete with. But the mere fact that you have to go get government's permission, a privilege, before you can then go exercise a God-given right, doesn't really pass a constitutional smell test. So what the Attorney General is saying here is, hey, listen, we want all other aspects of 114 to go into place on December 8th, but the licensing requirements, no, we're going to have to hold off on that. Now, specifically, here's what the Attorney General wrote in the letter. Together with various cases, there are 3 challenges to Measure 114. Number 1, facial challenges to Measure 114's restriction on large capacity magazines. Number 2, facial challenges to Measure 114's permit to purchase provisions. And 3, challenges based on whether the permit to purchase provision can be implemented by December 8th of 2022. In its response, the state defendants will agree that implementation challenges require postponing implementation of one aspect of Measure 114. Specifically, the state agrees that the court should enter an order providing a limited window in which Oregonians will be able to purchase firearms even if they do not have a permit, while also allowing Oregonians to apply and be issued permits. Okay, so even though we said in this video, and this video, and this video here, that there is no way on God's green earth that the state of Oregon would come anywhere close to having this licensing requirement implemented, the state of Oregon thought that they could. Now, just less than a week out, they finally realized, maybe we're not going to be able to do that. Now, the Attorney General also stated in his letter, succinctly, local law enforcement partners have made it clear that the necessary pieces of the permit to purchase system will not be in place by December 8th. Most significantly, Measure 114 requires a person applying for a permit to purchase a firearm to present their police chief or county sheriff with, quote, proof of completion of a firearm safety course. After the court's December 2nd hearing, the state learned from local law enforcement agencies that one element of the safety course, an in-person demonstration before an instructor certified by a law enforcement agency, will not be available by December 8th. Shocker. Because again, in this video and this video and this video, and we weren't the only ones that figured this out. No, this wasn't rocket science, okay? You are asking a state government to get multiple agencies involved in a radical new licensing procedure that's going to require both examination, in-person examination, all this other licensing regulations, and we're going to get it all set up in less than 30 days. No one in their right mind thought that this was possible, except for the Assistant Attorney General, who as up till Friday thought it was possible, but over the weekend, reality set in. The Assistant Attorney General also stated, as such, it has become clear that the police chiefs and sheriffs will not be prepared to issue permits on December 8th. And that may be one of our biggest no-shit moments in a long, long time. Now, what does this mean to you Oregon residents? Well, according to the Assistant Attorney General, the way they envision this being carried out is as follows. The state's position that Measure 114 is constitutional on its face remains the same. As our briefing will explain, there is no basis to enjoin Measure 114's provision governing the issuance of permits to purchase, its restrictions on large capacity magazines, or various provisions requiring completed background checks when firearms are purchased. The state's proposed postponement would mean that, while the permitting system is brought online, Oregonians who lack a permit will be able to purchase and transfer firearms. Meanwhile, the state and local law enforcement would continue to work towards implementing Measure 114's permit provisions. Moreover, Oregonians would be able to begin the application process. When the court order expires, Measure 114's permit requirement for purchases would go into effect. So what does this mean to you, Oregon? What it means is come December 8th, depending on how the judge rules on other parts of the injunction, the state of Oregon is of the belief that all aspects of 114 need to go into effect except for the permitting requirement. So for those of you who wake up on December 9th and you don't have one of these magical hall passes from the state of Oregon to go out and exercise a constitutional right, or what they call a permit to purchase, you will still be allowed to purchase a firearm. My recommendation for everybody in the state of Oregon is go out there right now, arm yourself so that you can protect yourself and protect your family before your state government takes that ability away from you. Listen, I'm going to slap this video together real quick, try to get some edits done and get it out to you. It will be in a rough format, but I wanted to get this out before the news became too stale. We will keep you guys posted about more developments on Ballot Measure 114. We are waiting for rulings on the motions for a temporary injunction in less than 24 hours. In the meantime, if you got any questions about Ballot Measure 114 or anything else that's left of your Second Amendment rights, remember, you can always contact us at WashingtonGunLaw.com, or of course you can call us directly at 425-765-0487. Now, let's remember, part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here at Washington Gun Law, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching. Stay safe.